Hiya, friends. You're not seeing double or triple for that matter. I am joined today by SunnyAnn and Serendipity. Actually, I am joining them. I was invited to do a build with them on Sarah's Island, and she decided she wanted to build parts of Balboa Park. So obviously, I didn't even think twice before I said yes. And I thought, how hard could it be, right? I had never done a large scale build before. Don't tell them. I don't think that was mentioned. So this is the first time I had like a photo in front of me, something I was building on a really large scale. And I felt really good about it till I got there. And as you can see, there's a lot of measuring, a lot of math, a lot of just prep work that I wasn't prepared for because I hadn't done a build like this before. So I had pictures. We each decided to take a building we wanted to do that's at Balboa Park. And living in California, I've been there many, many times. And my very favorite place in Balboa Park is the Museum of Natural History. So obviously, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do the Museum of Natural History. Why not? It was quite the undertaking. I immediately regretted it. I don't think they knew that. I was really good at faking it. The problem I was having, and Sunny had it too, because we were on Sarah's Island, everything we did, and you can see here, there's a lag. And in real time, it was about a 3-second lag. So every time you did a print of dirt or tried to get rid of dirt, it was like a 3-second, just, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? So that took a bit to get used to. Also, as I'm building here, when it swings around, you can see that there's a lot happening around me. And I really felt like maybe the kindergartner on the university campus here, it just felt like they were so far ahead of me. I did a lot of counting, a lot of mapping, because of course this is someplace I go. This is someplace that I've been quite often. And so I had it in my mind that it needed to be as perfect as possible. And thankfully, Miss Sarah helped me to realize it doesn't have to be perfect. We're doing just, an artistic rendition of the building we want to do. It didn't have to be perfect, and that was okay. So that helped. Once I kind of let go of that it had to be perfect, it's like, okay, let's just do it as close as I can, and that'll be okay. Also, because they were so far ahead of me, they were able to come and help me when I had, big projects that had to be completed. So that was also really, really nice. Again, I'll let you watch me dirt print, because who doesn't want to see that? So as you can see, I'm expanding the base of the museum. Because once I had it laid down, I didn't like how close the front door was going to be to the sidewalk of the building next to it. So I decided I needed to move the entire thing over 5 blocks. This is where having friends building with you really came in handy. Sarah and Sunny jumped on it and helped me move the entire building 5 paces over. But when it was done, it of course was exactly where it needed to be, and it helped. I tend to like things perfect. I like them to be centered. I like them to be organized. Had I not moved it over the 5, it would have really, really bothered me. And it was just easier to do it now so that it was what I wanted it to be. So I'm not sure why I struggled so much moving the doorway over. I was just moving it from where it was, just doing the identical thing. But it really gave me a lot of trouble. And this is where I'm feeling like I'm in over my head, if you know what I mean. I'm looking around. The other ladies are just sailing through. It's looking gorgeous. And I'm trying to figure out a doorway. I just feeling really like I was holding everybody back at this moment. But again, Sarah, Sunny, they're amazing. And they just kept encouraging me and helping me when I needed it. And of course, it all turned out fine. Can we just appreciate what's happening behind me here? This is going to be a lily pond, and then the arches that Sarah's working on. We got a tiny glimpse of what Sunny was doing back there, but hers is also amazing, and we'll revisit it. But again, I just felt like they had complete buildings behind me, and I still have lumps of dirt and part of a sidewalk. It was at this moment where I'm like, you know what? I can't really compare myself to the people I'm working with. We all work differently. We work at different paces. I like to plan it ahead of time to make sure it's all laid out rather than come back later and do all that stuff. So I wanted to do all the measuring, I wanted to have a plan. And that's what took most of the time. And it did turn out fine, of course, in the end. And I was happy to have the plan, because I think it would have kind of been chaotic had I not. Of course, Sarah on top of her building with the beautiful arches in Balboa. One of the weird things too is you can see these flowers and all these things. Oh, and Sunny's amazing building. It looked different on my screen than it did on Sarah's. So when Sunny and I would put down flower boxes, for instance, that were supposed to be empty, we saw them with flowers, just random flowers, and Sarah didn't see them with flowers. So it got confusing when we were working with those things to try to figure out what actually was in them. But I tell you what, the doubled up looked pretty good. But more dirt printing. Story of our lives, dirt printing, dirt printing. But the ladies had a fabulous idea that why don't we make the inside of the Natural History Museum hollow, and then we could put some of the bugs, some of the fishes that we find on the island inside, so it was actually a working Natural History Museum. Thought that was a fantastic idea. A lot less dirt printing for me and a lot more interesting for you. quite a bit of an issue on this side. Not an issue. If you've been to the Natural History Museum, you know that there are two main entrances. So this is the front of the building. And what I was working on was the side entrance, which is also prominent in a lot of photos and different things. So I was really trying to get it to look like the pictures. But again, we're working with what we have in Dinkum. And I had to kind of just let it go at one point that it wasn't going to look just like the pictures. And that's a lesson that I learned throughout, that I just had to kind of just be okay with it when it wasn't exactly what I had in my head. And it was fine. And it turned out fine. I mean, more than fine, obviously. It was gorgeous. And this was just the process. And I also appreciated the other gals who encouraging me when I was, again, moving walls, moving different things. And they assured me that no, that happens with them too. It's not just me. It's a process. Things change, and that's okay. You'll see those planners right there. Those were empty. They're empty on Sarah's video. It's so odd. Coming up with the entrance on the side that we could use, but that the wall still looks solid, was a challenge as well. We tried a lot of different things. These arches were one of our first attempts. I say ours because the other ladies had quite a bit of input as well, because we really struggled with how are we going to have an opening into the museum but still have it look like a solid wall. It took a lot of brain work. But thankfully, we had the brain trust there. Three amigos, the Three Stooges, you choose. But thankfully, I really enjoyed how we all came together. We all shared our ideas, and just the three of us collaborating made it so much better than it would have ever been had it just been me. That was really cool to see it all come together. So I was struggling, so I decided to go and walk around the other builds just to give my brain a break. Now this is another glitch. The walls over there are the deck. On Sarah's, it didn't look like they were raised, and you can see here, quite obviously, they are on stilts. So it'll be interesting to see on Sarah's video what it actually looked like, because Sunny and I were seeing the same thing. We were seeing this weird glitch where the decking was raised above the building, which I think it kind of looked cool, honestly, but that's not what Sunny had in mind. But Sarah assured us that that's not what it actually looked like. Lovely lily pond that went with these beautiful arches Sarah was making. Just the whole thing was so gorgeous. Here's me taking another break and doing a little bit of design that I'm pretty sure we got rid of later. I just needed to get away from the dirt printing and stuff, so I thought, oh, let's try out these little booths like outside of the museum. We would be selling things, and they would have these cute little things, and went back and forth. whether or not I like them there, if they should be trees, if we should have a whole area of just things to sell, if there should be a marketplace, it went back and forth as it always does. It took a while. It took a while to get it to where we decided, okay, yeah, this is what we want it to look like. This is just the beginning stages. A lot of this stuff was taken apart, redone multiple times. But you know what, that happens. If it doesn't turn out the way you think it should, redo it. This side entrance, again, is just very bare. There's not a lot to the building. And in my little head, I wanted to zhuzh it up. And I kept playing with what should be there. Well, there's nothing there. There are trees there, but it didn't need something. Same with right here. It's like, okay, there's not a whole lot. There is greenery. We went back and forth about what trees should be planted. I really, really wanted to keep the planters in the front. You can see we added some palm trees. I keep saying we. It was a team effort, but obviously can't blame them for my museum. So I really wanted to keep the trees and the planters. That's something that Balboa Park has a lot of trees. They're in actual planters. We didn't have those here to do, but then they have seating around them. So this to me looked like it could be little benches around a planted tree, and that's kind of as close as I could get. But I really, really wanted that to be part of the build, and that even evolved over time on how that worked. But then it was just getting the greenery to work out behind it. And the only thing you can really do is trial and error. Try things, see what it looks like. You either like it or you don't. And if you don't like it, you redo it. Do we want different elevations? Do we want it all to be flat? Do we want seating? I hadn't planned that far ahead. So it was just, again, adding things, taking things away. And again, that was just all part of the process. I'm just glad I had a team there to help me bounce ideas off of. Here we are adding some floral boxes to see if maybe that's better, if that's gonna make it feel just more. It just seemed like it was a little bit sparse. And you'll see us trying different ideas. The umbrella seating, that was another idea to bring in some kind of a seating and some kind of just something up front so that it wasn't so plain. And you'll see we also change our mind about that later. Okay, apparently when I say we, I'm talking about me and Boozy, the character. You know, her voice was in my head. We collaborated a lot. Here we go, taking another break, checking out, look at this fantastic, oh, Boozy, turn around, we weren't done looking. We'll be back to see Sunny's fantastic building. After hours of building, you kind of do have to just take a minute to clear your mind, because you've got so many things you thought you wanted to do that didn't work out, and you have to, for me, I have issues like just kind of letting it go and thinking, okay, well, maybe something else could go there, even if I had it in my head, it had to be a certain way. It took me a minute to be okay with the fact that it wasn't going to work out, and it was okay to do something else. So again, I learned a lot doing this. Not just the big build that I had never done before, but working with other people too. I was afraid, they're the juggernauts in the building industry here. And again, this is my first build. So I was really nervous I was going to let them down. I don't know if they knew that or not. But it took a while for me to feel like, okay, I'm just as good as they are. We're just different process. We do, do things different ways, and that's okay. That's what makes it so interesting. With our 3 builds in the same space, we're all doing Balboa Park, but just the fact that they came out so different is just, it always amazes me that we use all the same things and then they turn out so differently. Just one of the great things about Dinkum, I guess. Beautiful, beautiful lily pond. There we go. Oh, back again. There we go. There. Oh, darn it. We'll see Sunny's here in a minute. At this point, I'm like, Sarah, are you kidding me? Are you done? Oh, no. Just kidding. That happened a lot. Again, there's 3 of us on Sarah's island, and I don't think her server knew what to do about that. So we did free fall quite a bit, and that was okay. We always came back. We always came back. Oh, we finally did figure out this entrance here. You can see that there's a bridge over the archways to kind of give it a door feel, and it worked out perfectly. And I'm deciding here that I want this side to look similar to the other side, so I removed all of the cement, and I'm going to go ahead and plant some trees. Again, Southern California, you have to have your palm trees. You got to have your coconut trees. Not that I've ever seen a coconut tree when I've been in San Diego, but they just look so beautiful together. There's Sunny. There's her beautiful, beautiful, oh, look at that. Do you see that centerpiece up top, how she's done with not just the blocks, but with the arches as well? Just beautiful. All I can imagine right now is that I'm trying to do math, and that's what's taking me so long. Trying to remember what the other side looks like without having to run over to the other side. But again, I wanted it to just have a minimal amount of green, but still to have a little something to match the other side. When here's Sunny starting her beautiful little maze garden. And then Sarah, just out of nowhere, is building this amazing like seating area for picnics and whatnot. I don't know how she got hers done so fast. Those arches are amazing, and there's a beautiful courtyard behind it, and we'll see that later. But this is again why I'm like, am I just taking a really long time? And you'll see that the planter boxes, you can see the phantom flowers in there. It was so weird. And then it was kind of hard to envision what it would look like without, as we're trying to do them. It's just strange, the glitches. And then there I was struggling to make the Natural History Museum, and Sarah is literally decorating the entire rest of the property. just waiting on us, I guess. But I mean, thank goodness she did that because it is beautiful. See, giving me tips about how to hide the end of the bridges to make it more look like an archway. You learn stuff every day when you're working with other people. Amazing little tips and tricks I would have never known about. Looking at night to see if it's what we want it to be. We're just trying to mess with the front steps. The actual building has quite a wider set of stairs. We wanted more greenery just to go with the rest of the feel. So then it was just like try the boxes, try the bushes, to see what we wanted to do. And then I just gave it over to Sarah. It's like, you're the expert. We'll let you do whatever you think looks right. Here I'm just trying to put layers in the museum to make it more interesting for when we put the fish and the bugs. There's an edge around the outside of the room so that we'd have a shelf to put they're not in cages, but you know what I mean, the bug boxes, the fish tanks, so that there was that nice ledge to put it up above so we can put things up on the ledge and down on the floor. This museum actually turned out so nice. Can't wait for you to see the end result. It was honestly better than what I could have envisioned. It was really teamwork on this one, and it just turned out so beautiful. I never thought about having a hollow building before. That had never even occurred to me. I mean, what an amazing idea. Then first you don't have to do all of the printing, dirt printing, but then it's a usable space. I love that. I mean, on your own island, that could be storage and stuff, just the insides of the buildings. I'm absolutely going to use that on my islands for storage. Have a facade on the front and usable space inside. I mean, it's really coming together. Just thinking about, it was just dirt. It was just dirt when we started, and now it's just green and beautiful. And just all out of our imagination. It boggles my mind, the things that you can think of, the things that you can build. Especially as a group. Just sharing ideas and tweaking ideas, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. So we all have our structures that we want. And then from here, it's just going to be all about decorating. And that is something that took more time than I thought it would too. But I mean, it's looking good. It's looking good. And we're having such a good time. So that helps. So it doesn't feel like we are building for as long as we are. When you're talking and laughing and having a good time, time just flies. Oh, here we go. We get to see inside Sarah's courtyard here. She's getting our advice on how we should put the edges around it, if it should be extended, if there should be a fence. Like, Sarah, like she doesn't know what's beautiful. And Sunny is just an amazing designer too. Apparently she used to work with plants and flowers, and she just has an eye for all of that stuff, and it's just gorgeous. And here's me running around looking like I'm doing something while they actually are. Story of my life. Here we are, and we'll be back with a part 2 so you can see the rest. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you for the completion of Balboa Park. Bye.